Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing my YouTube channel. Hello, back in the Fox Den with the last of my series, Why Not to Do Yoga. I'm Troy Cox. I'm the founder of the Safe Yoga School since 2011 and the author of The Why of Yoga. And this is my final video in the series, Why Not to Do Yoga, the Safe Reality Check. And after everything that we've been talking about and all the great messages I've received and the conversations we've been having, I want to talk about other things than injuries, unsafe teaching, ego performance, and the problems with blind trust. I want to end somewhere useful, I hope, because the point of this series was never really to scare people away from yoga. The point was to help people come back to themselves before they hand over their trust to somebody else. I want and I hope that I'm helping people stay safe. And that's really what this whole conversation has been about. Trust. Who gets it? Who are you going to give your trust to? How fast do we give it away? And what happens when we ignore the quiet signals inside of ourselves because somebody else seems to more confident than we feel right now? In yoga, that can happen very easily. A person walks into a room looking for healing, for help, for peace, for strength, for a break from the crazy world outside, overstimulation and the chronic stress we all live under. And that person might be a little vulnerable. They might be hopeful, and they might be in physical pain, emotional, mental pain. And if the person's standing in front of the room calling themselves a teacher and they speak with enough confidence, uses enough spiritual sounding language, or seems to have everybody else's approval, it can be easy to think, well, they must know what they're doing, or otherwise they wouldn't be up there calling themselves a yoga teacher. But your body still gets a vote in the whole thing. Your nervous system still gets to say yes or no. Your common sense still gets a vote. Does it look wrong? Does it feel wrong? Does it sound wrong? Something a little off? And your discomfort doesn't become less important just because the room's beautiful or the teacher's popular or the teacher's beautiful. That's one of the main ideas behind chapter 9. The why of yoga. Yoga can be very powerful, but the student has to say, I'm going to pay attention here. I'm going to really be discerning, not suspicious of everything. We talked about that in the last video. Not necessarily, being cynical, but just paying attention. And there's a big difference. Being cynical is negative about everything. Paying attention is gathering information. So it means you notice how you feel in the room. And it means you notice whether the teacher respects your limitations. And it means that you notice whether you're becoming more connected to yourself, or maybe you're being pushed away from yourself, or less connected, or overwhelmed. It means we don't confuse pressure with progress. And it means to remember that a safe teacher does not need to overpower you in order to help you grow. I've seen and heard some things in yoga studios over the 20 plus years to know that a safe teacher helps you hear yourself clearly. That's the kind of teacher I trust. Somebody who encourages us to listen to ourselves. You don't have to do everything the teacher is asking you to do, and they don't have to impress you, and they don't need to be performing, and they don't need to be using the most beautiful poetic language you've ever heard. The teachers I trust are the ones who make it easier for me to stay connected to myself, my experience, my own breath, my boundaries, my ability to say no, and my inner knowing of what's right and what's not right for myself. And as a highly sensitive person, that's a separate set of circumstances that I need to be aware of, and I need to understand the stimulation that I'm being exposed to. Now, I'm not watering anything down. Safety is the ground where real transformation can happen. If you feel safe, you relax and things can change. People might have intense experiences, But intensity is not necessarily the same as growth. A person can feel overwhelmed and call it awakening. I remember a teacher saying, don't tell other people about your personal experiences and messages. They might be for you. A person can abandon their own judgment and call it surrender. And that's why we want to be discerning, and it really matters to listen to yourself and to look at what's going on around you. And that's why my next book is called The G of Yoga, Gurus Exposed, and What to Watch For and Who to Trust. I have stories in the book that you might not believe, things that have really happened. I believe people need better tools for trust, not fear and not gossip and not blind devotion, real discernment, really paying attention. And that kind of discernment lets you stay open without becoming careless or reckless with your body. And that kind that lets you learn without giving away your power. The kind that lets you respect a teacher without needing to become the teacher or cling to the teacher or turning them into something that is more than human. My first meditation teacher, Diane Ross, said, remember, people are attracted to the light that's coming through you, not from you. And honestly, that's where my own work is going to. After more than 20 years of teaching yoga, fitness, movement, and teacher training, I'm really, right now, at this stage in life, less interested in leading people through another crowded class just for the sake of movement and because it's called fitness. I'm really more interested in helping people understand what safety can be and what it means and how it affects us on all levels of our being. Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And I'm more interested in helping students, individual students, choose wisely. Right now, I'm really interested in helping teachers grow into their responsibility of what it means to lead other people. And it's about the student. Because to me, yoga teaching is not just a playlist or a sequence, as we talked about in the Badass Yogi video. It's about trust, responsibility, stewardship. When somebody follows your voice with their body, with their breathing, that matters. We're connecting. There's union. When somebody closes their eyes in the room, that's trust. And they're vulnerable. And it matters what's being said with our eyes closed around us. And when somebody believes you know better than they do, that matters. And if we're going to use the word yoga, then I believe we should treat that with responsibility and with respect. So if you take only one thing from this whole video series, let it be this. Do not quit yoga. Quit unsafe yoga practices. Have you heard of anything in the yoga world that has made you step back and question things? Please share it with me. I want that conversation. Listen to yourself. Walk away from the teacher that makes you feel small or bad or insignificant, who doesn't look you in the eyes, who doesn't know your name. Get out of the room where your body keeps saying, no, this is not safe. And keep looking for the kind of yoga that brings you back to yourself, to who you are. That yoga is still worth finding. It's out there. It just takes a little work to find it. That yoga is still worth protecting. That scientific method is still worth teaching. I'm Troy Cox. I'd love to hear from you. You can find my first book, The Why of Yoga, on Amazon. And in my next video series, I'm going to talk about what is a highly sensitive person. In my next book, The G of Yoga, Gurus, What to Watch For, Gurus Exposed, Who and What to Watch For and to Trust. And that's where this conversation is going to continue. Thanks again for being here for this whole series. And remember, safety comes first, and it comes from you. Transformation follows. Namaste.